Hello students, welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 25th June 2025. So let's get started with our discussion. Before getting started, I want to make an announcement here. That is, we are going to start new Prelims cum Mains Foundation batch from 27th June. So please try to join this course, and if you want to get the more details, please do contact on this number 8074765513, or even you can text me on this number on WhatsApp. So now let us see the first article, guys. See the title. Israel-Iran ceasefire is in effect, says Trump. What is this article talking about? Ceasefire. So what is the meaning of ceasefire? Stopping of escalation to some extent is called as a ceasefire. So what is happening between Iran and Israel? War. So who is attacking whom? Who started this? Israel started attacking this Iran. So which areas they had focused? Nuclear sites and as well as some military areas. And later on what Iran did? Again retaliation on Israel. And Israel approached help from which country? US. And US used bunker bombs and targeted which nuclear sites? Can anyone tell me the names? Okay. Fada. Next. Natanz. Next, one more thing. Okay. So they attacked 3 nuclear sites. So in yesterday's article, we discussed one topic. What is that topic? So whatever the nuclear sites which are present in Iran, they are fully fortified. So because of this, whatever the attack which had done by this US also, it will not cause heavy harm to this Iran, and Iran also started rebuilding its nuclear sites which had been affected. So we discussed that topic, right? So what is solution for this issue between Israel, Iran and as well as US? They have to go for ceasefire and they have to come up with an agreement, right? So this is that article. So from which subject we can see this, guys? From GS paper 2 under international relations. And even can we connect with economy? Yes. Why? Because if there is any uncertainty or instability in West Asia, it is not only affecting our India's economy, but even our global economy will be getting affected. And can you expect any question from geography here? Yes. Even you can get map based question in your prelims. And I said you have to see boundaries of which and which countries in yesterday's class? Iraq, Iran, Qatar, US. Why? Because why we have to see Iraq and Qatar? Iran targeted air bases of US which are located in this Qatar and as well as Iraq. So what is speciality of air base in Qatar? It is one of the largest US base, right? Okay. So now let us see this article, and even in yesterday's class I said there is a potential area where UPSC can ask a question, that is air base and in which country they had been located, and even you have to see other air bases in other parts of the world which are in news. Okay, now let us see this article. This article is saying that ceasefire between Israel and Iran announced by US President early Tuesday has officially come into effect despite a turbulent day marked by missile strike and mutual accusations of violations. So actually again, recently our Trump is making lots of statements. What are the statements? He said that US played a very important role in solving of India-Pakistan issue. He said, yes, US stopped this war. And again, US said that we are brokering this Israel-Iran issue. But on another side, who attacked this Iran sites? US. So why US is involving in this kind of statements? Why it is doing this? Because it wants to show big brother attitude. It wants to show its power hegemony. Okay. So here this article is saying that US announced that we are going for ceasefire between Israel and Iran. But even though there are violations of this ceasefire happened, on the both the sides they attacked by using missile. That is the thing which mainly said. So Israel-Iran ceasefire is in effect, says Trump. So we have to see what is going to happen in the future. Whether they are going to de-escalate the tensions or further they are going to rise the tensions, we have to see. So the key points which are given in this article here is Iran fired multiple ballistic missiles into northern Israel. So whenever we are using missiles and whenever we are using bombs or warheads, then what happens? It will lead to loss of life. That is nothing but increasing of casualties and even destruction of infrastructure which happens. And this one is Israel also retaliated with air strikes which targeted Iranian missile launchers and as well as radar installations. And on the both sides, they accepted the US brokered ceasefire despite ongoing tensions. Okay, and what is this ceasefire and what are the terms you have to know? So ceasefire, which mainly aims to halt, that means to stop direct military strikes between Israel and Iran. So here in this kind of attacks, what they'll use commonly, they will use missiles, they'll use drones, or they'll use some airstrike operations. That means nothing but mainly Air Force equipment they'll use and they will target the sites. So they are going to stop this direct military attacks by using these drones, missiles, and as well as airstrikes. And it does not explicitly cover proxy conflicts like involving Hezbollah or other Iranian backed groups. They just talked about stopping of direct attack, but they didn't included this Hezbollah or any Iranian backed groups. So who are this Hezbollah? They are like yes, militant group. Okay, so they are militant group. So they are not involving any militant group or any Iran backed groups. So just they went for halting of direct attacks. And this one here is whenever they are coming up with ceasefire, they will not implement at a time. They'll go for phased manner. That means in one phase what they have to do, in second phase what they have to do, third phase what they have to do. They'll not implement in a one go. So they are going for phased implementation of this ceasefire. So first, what is the condition or the provision here is Iran was to cease all air strikes against Israel within 6 hours of announcement. Within 6 hours, first Iran has to stop, and later on within 12 hours, Israel have to stop this attacking of Iran. And Iranian foreign minister also said that there is no formal agreement regarding this ceasefire. So these are the terms and conditions of this ceasefire. And what are the implications? So what happens in the geopolitical arena because of this ceasefire? At least to some time, we will be having establishment of peace, right? So we can decrease this escalations. Okay, can we ensure regional stability in this East, that is West Asia part and Middle East? Yes. So first important point you have to see is we are going to decrease the risk of border Middle East conflict, and we can also ease pressures on oil markets and some regional allies like Saudi Arabia. Okay, and next one here is US foreign policy. So here ceasefire, which mainly shows big brother attitude of US, and as well as Trump has a policy called as America First approach. So this ceasefire which aligns with Trump's America's First policy or America's First approach. It is very, very important. And it is avoiding direct US military involvement in projecting influence. And next one here is ceasefire does not address one important thing, that is Iran's nuclear program. And they just talked about halting of attacks. They didn't talk, there is no provision regarding anything regarding this Iran's nuclear program. Yeah, that is the thing. And see this next article, very important article of the day. Find ways to increase, find ways of increasing revenue of panchayats. Amit Shah urges CMs. What is this article talking about? Revenue of panchayats. So tell me, what is this panchayat? What is panchayat? Whether it is there in urban areas or rural areas? Yes. So they are nothing but local bodies. Panchayats and municipalities or local self-governing bodies or local self-government. Okay, local bodies. So in this local bodies, we have two types. That is in urban areas, and next one is in rural areas. So in urban areas, we have municipalities. In rural areas, we have panchayats. Are these local bodies present in our constitution when we adopted this constitution? No, these bodies later on they added by constitutional amendment acts. So which acts added this? 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act added this municipalities and panchayats. 73rd added this panchayats and 74th added this municipalities. And from 1991 onwards, we came up with this panchayats and municipalities at local level. Okay. And now tell me, what are the sources? Okay, so this article is saying that panchayats are having less revenue generation and we have to increase revenue generation. That is the meaning of the title. So now you have to know what are the sources from where panchayats are getting revenue. What are the sources? Come on, think. So we have three sources. First one is it can impose tax, right? Tax is one important source of getting revenue. I'll tell you which taxes will be imposed by this panchayats. And next one is non-tax revenues. Sometimes have you ever observed for water we'll be giving some fee, right? For getting of water, for getting this water connection, we have to pay certain amount of fee. It is there in municipalities and also in panchayats. So it is called as non-tax revenues. It will be imposing certain fees. And not only that, we have grants. So from central government, certain amount will be given to panchayats, and from state government also certain amount they will receive. So these are the three important sources of this panchayats revenue. Yeah, that comes under grants only. And next one here is, this article is saying that there is very low revenue generation. And now you have to see what steps can be taken to improve this revenue generation. So this is one important mains question. Already UPSC asked question on this revenue and what are the sources of revenue for this panchayats. And it is very important topic in your polity, which comes under GS paper 2. And this topic is important from your prelims and as well as mains. And this is one of the favorite area of UPSC. Okay, so here before we got independence, we were in modern period, right? So we were under rule of Britishers. At that time we had Indian national movement. Many of our freedom fighters, they fought for the independence, that is called as freedom struggle or Indian national movement. At that time, can you recall any one of our freedom fighter who focused on panchayats and local self-government? Anyone? Yes. So here you have to even include about the role of Mahatma Gandhi in promoting cottage industries, and he promoted panchayats at village level. So he mainly focused on grassroots democracy. So whenever you are writing any answer regarding panchayats, you have to include this keyword for sure. That is, panchayats will ensure grassroots democracy. So this is one keyword you have to include, and this keyword is the most expected thing from the examiner in your answer sheet. So you have to include this grassroots democracy. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. So our Union Home Minister, he attended 25th Central Zonal Council meeting, and where it had been held in Varanasi. And here he urged chief ministers of Uttarakhand, UP, Chhattisgarh and MP to come up with strategies and regulations to increase revenue of Gram Panchayats. So where you can use this context, whenever you are writing about revenues or income of panchayat, can we use this? Because it is a statement who gave? Our Union Home Minister. So whenever any of our important government officials, if they are giving any statements, that will be very authenticated, and you can directly use it in introduction or conclusion of your answer. Okay, so you can use this directly. Our Union Home Minister in this Central Zonal Council meet, he urged Chief Minister to come up with new strategies to improve revenue of panchayats. And this initiative, which mainly aims to strengthen our Panchayat Raj system, It is nothing but we are going for empowering of local governance financially. Whenever you are talking about empowerment of our panchayats also, you can use this statement directly. It is very, very important, guys. So why we need finance or revenue? For empowerment. If you are having money, then only we can do some activities. If you're not having money, what can you do? You can't do anything, right? So if you want to make our panchayat raj system economically empowered, we need to get more revenues. It is for sure. So now let us see the points which are given. So here our Home Minister, he urges CMs to boost Gram Panchayat revenues for stronger local governance. So this is the first important point he focused. He focused about revenues. Apart from this, he said 3 important points in this article. So first one is we need to establish fast track special courts. Why we need fast track special courts? If you see the judiciary system in India, we have independent and integrated judiciary system. Top court in our country is Supreme Court and top court in states is High Court. At district level, we have district courts. District courts, they are also called as subordinate courts. In the subordinate courts, again we have 2 types. First one is civil courts, second one is criminal courts. Okay, so this is our judicial system in our country. Top court is Supreme Court and top court in state is High Court, and at the district level subordinate courts, and if it is dealing with the civil case it is called as civil court, if it is dealing with the criminal case it is called as criminal court. Okay, the problem in our judiciary is delaying of justice. Yes or no? Will you accept it or not? If you are filing a case, if you are going to a court, it will take more than 10 years, more than decades, 2 decades, 3 decades, but there is no proper and timely judgment we are having. So why we are having delay in justice? What might be the reasons? Can anyone tell me? Yes, increasing of number of cases. Okay, procedural problems we have, and there is very bulky paperwork we have to do, right? Paperwork, which is very bulk. Next one is judges, number of judges. Do we have proper number of judges? So on one side there is increasing of number of cases, but on another side we are maintaining stable number of judges. Is it works? If there is increasing of work, we have to recruit more people who have to work on it. So here we have problem of lack of human capacity, or number of judges are very low. And do we have proper infrastructure? No proper infrastructure. And are we using any technology? We are not using any technology in this judiciary. So because of all these problems, we have delay in justice. So one alternate here is we can go for ADR. What is ADR? We discussed in recent classes. Alternate dispute resolution mechanism, that is mediation. So why this mediation is in news? Recently, our Prime Minister, he made a statement. We don't want any mediation in Jammu and Kashmir. Why our Prime Minister said this statement? So Trump said that we are mediating this issue between India and Pakistan regarding this Pahalgam issue, Operation Sindoor, right? So here our Prime Minister, he directly rejected this mediation word. Okay, so we have alternate dispute resolution mechanisms. That is nothing but we are going to a third person. It is normally, you can see in your villages, there will be big banyan tree. Under that banyan tree, elders of that village, they will be sitting, and the people who want to resolve their issue, they'll go and they'll talk. Yes or no? Those are called as alternate dispute resolution mechanism. Instead of going to court, we can do that. And apart from this, if you want to go legally, if you want to decrease the time of getting justice, now we can ensure this fast track courts. Fast track courts are nothing but the courts, they have to give the judgment within a very less amount of time. Especially if there is any rape cases which are there in the news. So they will be getting judgment very fast because they will be approaching this fast track courts. Okay, so here this article is saying that we have to go for establishment of fast track special courts for speedy resolution of rape cases which are involving women and children. So why we need this fast track courts in the cases of rape cases? Why? So in rape, what happens? There is a high chance of getting pregnancy. So if we are filing normally a case in this any court, if it is delaying, means what happens? Can we stop the growing of a baby inside the womb? No, because of this, what happened? Right to life and right to take decision regarding their reproduction will be getting affected. So in that cases, we need speedy justice. Okay, for that, this article said that we want to establish more number of fast track courts, especially there is increasing of rape cases tremendously in our country. For that, we need this. And next one here is they are also focusing on establishing of brick and mortar banking facilities in every village nationwide. So here it is nothing but it is talking about banks. Why we need banks? What are the functions of the banks? We'll get loans, will increase money supply in the market, right? And we can also encourage economic activities. So we can also go for financial empowerment of rural areas. So actually we don't have proper banking system in rural areas. So because of this, it will be impacting on the economic activities in rural areas. So this article is saying that we have to establish brick and mortar banking facilities in every village. And this one is they said that we have to focus on emergency response support system for better crisis management. So especially in rural areas, we don't have proper infrastructure. Because of this, it will leads to the increasing of problems of people, and we cannot go for proper development of that area. So because of this, they are saying that we have to go for emergency response support system. And this one here is, if you compare rural areas and urban areas, in which areas we have more malnutrition? What is meaning of malnutrition? Not taking proper nutritious diet is called as malnutrition, right? So in which areas we have more malnutrition, rural areas or urban areas? In rural areas. So again, our Home Minister said that we have to work properly to eradicate malnutrition. So how we can ensure nutrition? So government is coming with a scheme called as midday meals program. Do you know this? So what is this midday meals program? In government schools, this government itself provides 1 day of hot cooked meals with a boiled egg for the children, right? So through this program, government is trying to address this malnutrition. So how now we can ensure this eradication of malnutrition? We have to ensure that children are coming to school and they are attending the classes, so that we can ensure the food services, right? So we have to bring school dropouts to zero, and we have to increase gross enrollment ratio. That is a one important point which is mainly set. Yeah, and next one here is we need to improve infrastructure. So especially in our border areas. So India is sharing boundary with how many countries? 7 countries. What are they? Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar. So in this border areas, which organization is responsible for infrastructure? You need to know that. That is BRO, Border Roads Organization. So especially in this broader villages, that means villages which are present in this border areas, now BRO need to focus on improving of infrastructure. It may be hospital facilities, it may be school facilities, water facilities, sanitation facilities, whatever it may be. Now BRO need to take care. So why? Because this meeting is held in this Uttarakhand, UP, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. So here we have Uttarakhand, UP. Are they sharing boundary with other country? Yes. So in these areas now, especially in these broader villages, BRO should go for infrastructure development. So that is the thing which mainly said here. So these are the points which are mainly set in this meeting, and it is very, very important for your mains case. And now let us see about this Panchayat Raj institutions established under 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. And we have 3-tier system. We have to remember that. First one is we have panchayats in village. Next one is panchayat committees at block level. And next one is we have Zilla Parishad at district level. So actually, what is the task of this PRIs? Very, very important. They will manage tasks like agriculture, rural housing, water management, electricity, healthcare and sanitation. But the problem here is financial autonomy is very, very limited for these PRIs. They'll get only 1% of their revenue generated independently. Independently, they are generating only 1% of revenue. So because of this, now our Home Minister said that we have to improve income of this panchayats. Okay, so what are the sources of revenue? First one, as I said, they have taxes. They can impose taxes. So which kind of taxes they'll impose? They'll impose property tax or house tax. So if you went to rural areas, if you have experience of staying there, so sometimes you may be getting this announcement, especially in Telugu we call it as Dandora. So one guy will be playing drums and he will be giving announcement that if you are not going to pay electricity bills, so and so department will come and take away your doors. Have you ever seen this? No idea. In Telangana it is there. Okay, so they will impose property or house tax. Next one is profession and trade taxes for local businesses. And next one is land revenue or cess they can impose. Next one is stamps and registration fees, free for property or transactions. Next one is service taxes. Like if they are providing any water supply, they have to pay like yearly fee or like monthly fee. And next one is they will also get non-tax revenues. In that we have user charges. For example, if you are getting the service of water supply or sanitation or waste management, they have to pay this. And even in this municipality also, in Hyderabad especially, you will give waste to that municipality van which will come alternate day, and you have to pay 100 rupees per month. Yes or no? So like that, there are certain user charges. And this one is license free. For activities like cattle registration or trade licenses, we have to pay this fee. Next one is rents and auctions. Income from leasing of panchayat owned shop or lands or water bodies, they will give these for lease to the people. So have you ever heard there will be some ponds or small lakes, they will be given to the lease and they will be inserting or they will be releasing small fish seedlings. At the end of summer, they'll go for catching of that fish and they'll be selling, especially in rural areas. Have you ever heard this? And next one is interest payments. Next one is for programs, for specific programs to be run in rural areas, they will be also they are also imposing some certain taxes. And next one is they will be getting grants from central government and as well as state government. These are the sources. And now you have to tell me what can be done to improve this revenue. What are the suggestions? If you are commissioner of a panchayat raj institution of that so and so state, then how can you improve this? So now what happened? Home Minister attended meeting and he talked to CMs of that so and so state. And now that order will come to commissioners only, right? Commissioner of Panchayat Raj. They will now sit together of these 4 states and they will discuss about what can be done. So if you are a commissioner, now tell me what steps you can take to improve your revenue. For entire Panchayat Raj, we have commissioner. We can improve public involvement for what? To give money. How will they give money? How will they give money for free? You have to provide something. Decentralization of what? Think. You have to think. Self-governance. Okay, awareness. Awareness of paying taxes and service they'll get. Okay, next. Transfer of subjects. It is not easy. It is not at all easy because it is 7 schedule, right? If you want to change schedules again, we have to do Constitution Amendment Act. It is not that much easy. Next. As an IAS officer, you can't do that. It is the process to be done in Parliament. That is MPs, they have to sit and they have to talk. Not IAS officers. Next. Improving? Increasing shops. And get you, Kiran. Please be allowed. Okay, increasing of leasing shops. Okay, whatever the land is there, you can convert into shops and you can give on lease. Okay, to some extent it works. Next. But if you want to construct also, if you want to build shops also, you need money, right? Will you keep that money from your pocket? You can't. Huh? Mudra loans. Mudra loans, it is for entrepreneurs. You are not entrepreneurs there. Next. Okay, we can increase grants. We can ask grants from state government or central government. Okay. Uh, okay, so let us see here. So please make note of these points. First one is we have to enhance our own source revenues. So have you ever observed in rural areas, they will not have proper electricity meters. Just they will use some wires and whatever the main wire which is going, just they will attach to it and they will rob the power. Do you know this? So can we minimize that so that if you are making strict rules and implementation, so now people will have this meters and they will try to pay service taxes on that. Yes. So first one here is we have to go for increasing of own revenue. First one here is fill bill collector vacancies. So normally there are lots of vacancies in this panchayat raj. So panchayats are mostly ignored in many areas. What are the vacancies are there? We have to fill that vacancies. If you are filling that vacancies now, they'll try to collect taxes. People will not pay taxes, especially whenever this whenever this officers or this government employees will come to collect the tax. At that time, people will leave the home and will go to the fields. It happens and they'll lock the homes and they will go another side like that. So we have to appoint proper officers so that they will be having an eye on this taxpayers. And next one here is we have to digitalize property records. So if you are having the digitalization of property records, it will be very easy for tax collections. Yes or no? So because many people, they don't have proper land records. If you are going for digitalization, we can get more amount of property tax. And this one is we have to expand non-tax revenues. Like we have to promote user charges for services like water, sanitation, waste management. And as you said, we have to increase our lease of shops, ponds, markets. And we have to develop rural business hub. And we can also go for promotion of renewable energy projects. And next one here is, especially have you seen we have village markets, we have animal markets in certain areas in villages. Have you ever seen that? Weekly once they will go and they will go to that market and they'll purchase everything what they want. We have vegetable markets, we have animal markets. Yes or no? So in that areas we can go for arranging of a parking area so that if you want to park your vehicle, you can collect the money of 20 rupees per vehicle or 30 rupees per vehicle so that it will be a one source of income generation for this panchayats. And this one here is, as you said, we can ask more funds from state government and as well as central government. That is nothing but State Financial Commission and as well as Finance Commission of India. They have to grant more amount of funds to this panchayats. And we have to improve capacity building. Like we have to go for training programs of government officials. For example, we have Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan. So we can go for training of elected officials, staff in finance management properly. And we have to address what are the shortages we have in the data operator post everything. And we have to use this technology as I said earlier. And this one is we can also go for public-private partnerships also. So for building of shops and building of infrastructure markets, already we don't have funds. We can go for encouraging of public-private partnerships in this arena. Okay. And we can also come up with some policy reforms, increasing of transparency and state level reforms. So by doing all this, yes, we can try to improve revenue of panchayats. It is very, very important mains based question, guys. And next, see this article. 15th century lamp discovered in Karnataka temple. What is the keyword? 15th century old, that means very, very old. Is it part of our culture and heritage? Yes. So if any thing which is of 100 years old, it is called as antique, which comes under part of our culture and heritage. So from which subject you have to see this? From art and culture, which comes under GS paper 1. And here it is found in which temple? Karnataka temple. So Karnataka is famous for which temple? Karnataka, guys? Temples, list of temples in Karnataka. Next. Okay, next. Murugesan. Next. Very, very famous, very age-old, century-old temples. Subramanyam temple. Next. 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 You are from Karnataka, you have to tell the list like anything. Very, very old, very famous, significant. అదే కదా. Do you know this Ananta Padmaswamy temple? What is it famous for? It is in Kerala. It is not there in Karnataka? No. Actually, this lamp was found in Ananta Padmanabha temple in Perduru in Udupi district of Karnataka. Think once. So you're from near to Udupi or not? Coastal Karnataka. You are from? Northern Karnataka. Middle Karnataka. You are from? Central. You are also? 3. Okay, border Karnataka. Okay, whatever it may be. So tell me normally what is the importance of this Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple? It is famous for which god? Vishnu. Okay. Next. It is in Kerala. It is in Karnataka. But normally, what is this Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple is famous for? It is famous for Vaishnavism. Okay, Vishnu temple will be there. So Vishnu temple comes under Vaishnavism and Shiva's temple comes under Shaivism. So actually one important thing which we found in this lamp is we had both God Shiva and as well as Vishnu. It is a combination of both Shaivism and as well as Vaishnavism. So because of this, it is very important now. Okay, so this article you can also add in your Bhakti and Sufi movement also. Bhakti and Sufi movement is a topic which is there in your art and culture again. So there we have Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Lingayats, Shaktism, everything that you will see here. So from that point of view also you can add this article, guys. So now let us see the context. A rare 15th century antique lamp which is featuring unique Shiva and Vaishnavite sculptures have been discovered at Ananta Padmanabha temple in Karnataka. In Karnataka, in one temple, they found 15th century old lamp. And the special feature it is having both features of Shiva and Vaishnava sculptures. And this lamp, which is uniquely blends this Shiva and Vishnu iconography, so that we can understand that South India is very famous for this Vaishnavism and as well as Shaivism together. And it was donated by Basavannaras Banga in 1456 CE. Okay, very important. So one face which depicts Lord Shiva as Nataraja. So what is this Nataraja? Shiva is doing Tandava, that is called as Nataraja, right? So on one side we have Nataraja, which is nothing but performing cosmic Pralaya Tandava dance. Very, very important. And on other side we have Brahma, Indra, Agni, Varuna and Ananta Padmanabha with symbolic gestures and implements. Who is Brahma? How many heads? 4 heads. So who is Indra? How many eyes he have? 3 eyes we have for Shiva, no? So don't you read Telugu? In Telugu we have supplementary, lots of stories in Telugu supplementaries in Telugu states. Because of one Shapam, he got ice on whole body. Okay, let it be. Who is Agni? Fire. Who is Varuna? Okay. So here we have all these sculptures which are there on this lamp. Okay. And what is Arctic craft? It is very, very important. Please make a note here. We have Antiquities and Art Treasuries Act of 1972. We have Antiquities and Art Treasuries Act of 1972, which we implemented from 1976 in India. So according to this act, antiquity is nothing but this any coin or any sculpture or any painting or epigraph which is having more than 100 years. It is called as antiquity. So why we came up with this act in year 1972? That means after we got independence. So India is very rich in its heritage, and many a times our temples had been plundered for wealth. There is one temple called as Somnath temple which is very, very rich. So this temple had been plundered more than 12 to 18 times. That means many a times our antiquities, our things, our sculptures, they were stolen by other country people. So for preserving of our rich heritage and as well as culture, we came up with this act and we implemented from 1976. After that, we are retrieving those articles which are present in other countries. So every year you will be getting at least 5 to 10 articles that we are retrieving those so and so articles from other countries. Okay, so for that you have to know why we are getting that, under which act we are getting that back. Okay, that is this act. And now let us see very important thing, very small article. See the title here. Telangana government to bring in AI to speed up industrial clearances. What is the keyword here? AI. What is AI? Artificial intelligence. So where you can use this article? Whenever you are writing about applications of AI in science and technology, you can use this article, right? So why we are using AI? To speed up industrial clearances. So what is this industrial clearances? We are attracting investment from other countries, right? So whenever we are attracting investment, what they will do? They will come and they will set up certain industries. For example, if you go to Gachibowli, it is famous for IT companies, right? So the same way other countries will come and establish industries in our country. If they want to establish industries, they have to get clearance, right? So the problem in our country is, if you are going manually, clearances will be very late. Whenever there are delaying of clearances, if someone wants to invest in our country, will he show interest? It will be coming late. So we have to wait for a long time. It will be loss of my interest. Like that they will feel and they will not invest in our country. So here Telangana state government wants to include this AI in clearances of industry so that we can attract more investment. So you have to make a note of this, where they are going to use this tool. So they are going to use this tool in Telangana Industrial Project Approval Self-Certification System, that is TG-IPAS. So write down, in TG-IPAS, Telangana government is going to incorporate AI for speedy industrial clearances to attract more investment. So what happens if you are attracting more investment? Is it good or bad? Yes. How it is good? We can increase economic activities, we can increase employment generation. Next, we can increase GDP, state GDP. Next, we can make that area more developed, right? So if you are going for development, obviously in different indicators, India's ranking will be increased or decreased? Increased. Okay. And let us see the next article. Yeah, see the title, guys. Rajnath Singh likely to discuss regional peace at SCO summit. What are the keywords? SCO. What is SCO? Can anyone tell me the full? Yes, SCO is nothing but Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Where is this Shanghai located? Yes, China. Okay. So we formed one organization that is called as Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So in this organization, they are going to conduct a meeting, and this meeting is held on June 25th to 26th. That is nothing but today and tomorrow we have that meet. So who are attending this meeting? So this meeting is attended by the members. All these member countries, especially defense ministers, are going to attend this meet this time. And our defense minister, who is he? Rajnath Singh, and he is going to highlight regional peace at this SCO summit. Why we want to talk about peace now? What is the reason? Yes, because it is a war time. So in which countries war is going on? India, Pakistan, Israel, Iran. Next, Russia, Ukraine. So if you see members of this SCO, who are the members? We have Russia as a member. We have China as a member. We have Pakistan as a member. We have Iran as a member. And we have India also as a member. So wherever these wars are going on, all these are going to participate now here. So is it a good place or a good platform to talk about peace now? Yes, right? So how you can expect a question here? So in yesterday's class, we discussed that which organization that we can use. You said United Nations Security Council. Now can you add this SCO? Shanghai Cooperation Organization is also a best platform where we discussed about issues which are going on, because the countries which are in war all are part of this, right? So this article is important from which subject? International Relations, from GS paper 2. And one more thing here is you can also expect especially prelims based question from this Shanghai Cooperation Organization. There UPSC can ask about founding members. So whenever this organization was found in 2001, only 6 members are there. But now this membership had been expanded. So you have to see the total number of members now, and recently Iran added as a member in 2021. Okay, so you have to see who are the members and who are observer states, and as well as other things you have to see. And next one is objectives. What are the objectives behind the formation of this? Whether those objectives they are meeting or not. Very, very important. And in 2025 prelims, there were 3 questions from this organization. They asked about BRICS, they asked about BIMSTEC. So this year, there is a chance of asking about this SCO, because all countries which are in news are the part of this SCO. You have to be very careful, guys. Okay, now let us see the context. Our defense minister is set to lead a high-level Indian delegation at Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defense Ministers meeting, and it's happening. It will be started today and as well as tomorrow in China. And the meeting is focusing on key issues. What are the key issues here? Regional and international peace. In India also we don't have peace across the border, and international, that is in the globe also we don't have peace. We are going to talk about that. And what problem we are facing? We are facing problem of security and counter-terrorism. So that we are focusing on these issues so that we can improve cooperation between these defense ministers of this SCO members. And India is emphasizing cooperation among these SCO members, especially defense ministers, and we are focusing on multilateralism. What is bilateral? Between 2 countries. Multilateral means nothing but we want to improve our cooperation with this different countries. So we are focusing on multilateralism through this SCO summit. And next one here is we are focusing on elimination of terrorism and as well as extremism in this region. And we are also focusing on enhanced trade, economic cooperation and connectivity with this SCO grouping now. So these are the 3 areas where we want to focus. And now if you see the facts regarding this SCO, SCO stands for Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and it is an international organization formed in year 2001. So when this Shanghai Cooperation was formed here, so we have normally in Central Asia we have 5 stans. What are those 5 stans? Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. So you have to remember one thing here is, in these 5 stans, only 1 stan will be not part of this SCO, that is Turkmenistan. Please make a note, Turkmenistan is not part of SCO. We have Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. Turkmenistan is, these are Central Asian countries. 5 stans. Pakistan will be there. Pakistan and India added in year 2017. Okay, so these are the founding 4 stans. And next we have China and Russia. So totally this organization was 6-membered founding members organization. When it was found, we have 6 members. And later on, other countries added, India and Pakistan added, and next one is Iran added. Iran is a recent member which added in year 2021. India and Pakistan added in 2017. Okay, and main objectives of this SCO are strengthening of relations, and they want to promote cooperation, political affairs, economy, trade, scientific, technical, and as well as culture arena. And we want to focus regarding energy, transportation, tourism, environmental protection, and we want to focus on safeguarding of regional peace, security and stability. And we want to create a democratic, equitable, international political and economic order. And presently we have members. Who are those members? China, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Iran, Uzbekistan. So apart from 6 founding members, later on India and Pakistan added, and recently Iran added. So total it is 9-member organization now. Okay. And we have observer countries. Afghanistan, Belarus and Mongolia are observer countries. And we have dialogue partners. So these countries will also give some dialogue suggestions like that. So those are Armenia, Azerbaijan, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Turkey, Egypt, Nepal, Qatar. So normally they will be asking member countries and as well as observer countries. If you remember those both, it is enough. And next one is, now tell me why we have to use this SCO. What is the importance of SCO for India? Pakistan is there. So with India and Pakistan, what is the issue we have? Terrorism. So in this multilateral grouping, can we talk about this Pakistan? Yes. And with China, what is the issue? We have again issue with China regarding our border, regarding trade. Increasing of expansionist policy of China is happening in land and as well as in water. So we can also counter China here. And next one is for ensuring of regional stability, especially if you want to have a dialogue with Central Asian countries. Can you use this organization? Yes. It is also very important for our IMEC project, India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, because Central Asian countries are part of it. That is nothing but we have to ensure connectivity here. And for economic cooperation, if you are part of this kind of groupings, what is advantage? We can improve our trade. We can have the access to international markets. And next one here is for multilateral diplomacy. And next one is to boost our relations with this Central Asia. We need to have good relations with this SCO. Clear? There is nothing new. Already everything that you know. And now let us see the next article. See here. Prime Minister invites Mauritius counterpart to India. What is the keyword? Mauritius, right? So can I see this article from International Relations regarding India-Mauritius relations? So here our Prime Minister he invites Mauritius to our country. Whenever he invites our country, whenever they sit, whenever they talk, then we have to see like in which areas we are going to improve our relationship. Okay. So just now, as of now, just open your map and see this Mauritius. So Mauritius is an island nation in our Indian Ocean part, right? So whenever we are talking about island nations, one important problem they are going to face now is increasing of sea level rise. Why? Because of global warming, melting of glaciers is happening, increasing of sea level rise is happening. Because of this, there is a problem of inundation, disappearing of these islands in future. So which countries will be taking more steps, or which countries will be focusing or pushing on taking of certain steps regarding global warming? That is island nations. Okay. So this is very important problem which is mainly faced by Mauritius is increasing of sea level rise. Okay, so once he comes, we will be discussing about what are the ties, what are the areas of cooperation between India and Mauritius. But as of now, here this article said that they're going to talk about development partnership and capacity building and defense, maritime security, digital infrastructure, people to people ties. So these are the areas they are going to talk. But once they come, we will be clearly knowing like where they had talks, in which areas, and how they are progressing forward. We will be getting that details. Okay, now let us see the next article, see the title. Keep star mark, very, very important. For first time, India breaks into top 100 in global SDG rankings. What are SDGs? How many sustainable developments are there? How many? 17. So when we have to achieve them, what is the target year? 2030. So actually sustainable development rankings had been released and India's rank is 99. Very, very important. And if you are comparing with last year rank is 109 and this year rank of India is 99. That is, we are below 100 for the first time. It is a great achievement. Huh? Enti? For sure it is a great achievement. Okay, please make a note here. India's global sustainable ranking. India's global sustainable ranking in year 2025 is 99 out of 167. You have to remember this. 99 out of 167 in 2025. Okay, what you have to remember here, what you have to see. So whenever you are getting this kind of rankings, if you are comparing with last year, it will be like increasing or it will be like decreasing, right? So you have to see what are the reasons why ranking is increased or decreased for sure. So recently one ranking is in news. What is that? Gender gap index. Rank increased or decreased compared to the last times? Increased. Okay, there what is the reason? We discussed that political participation of women is low. Why? There is delaying of census. So here now, based on your knowledge, tell me why there is decreasing of ranking of India from 109 to 99 this year. What are steps we took so far? Come on, you have to think that. This is your work today. Okay, now let us see the context. For the first time, India has broken into top 100 in Global Sustainable Development Goals Index. And India's ranking is 99 out of 167 in 2025 ranking. And please make a note, who released this ranking? United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. Very, very important. So here in UPSC prelims, you will be getting question like, consider the following statements regarding this ranking. They will give you 2 to 3 statements and they will ask you which is correct and which is incorrect. And second way is, recently this ranking in news, which organization released it? They will give directly ABCD options. So here the Sustainable Development Report or rankings are given by United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. Okay, so why there is decreased ranking is 17% of global SDG targets, they are currently on track and we are going to meet by 2030. Out of 100%, we are going to do 17%. So because of this, our ranking had been improved. And who will dominate these rankings? Always European countries, that is Sweden, Finland and Denmark, they are top rankers. And if you are comparing with other countries with which you are sharing boundary, Pakistan ranking is 140. You are doing far better than Pakistan. We should be very happy for that. And next, Bhutan, which is a very small country, its rank is 74. So we have to feel bad by comparing with Bhutan. Okay, so you have to remember all these 70 sustainable development goals, and where you can use them is like whenever you are writing conclusion, if you are writing about any poverty related answer, so we have no poverty or end poverty. So it is sustainable development goal 1. So to ensure sustainable development goal 1, like that you can write an answer. And if you are writing about hunger, we have 2, and life beyond the water, like that. So we have 17 goals and you have to remember that for sure. It is very, very important. You can use it in introduction or either in conclusion. And this is also very useful in writing of your essay also. And now let us see the last article of the day. I think you are getting bored. Yes? Yes? Shameless. So see here, the need for gender equity in urban bureaucracy. So here, can anyone tell me the data of urban population estimates in future? 60%. Yes, 60% of our Indian population is going to live in urban areas. What is the year? By 2060. By 2060, around 60% of our total population of India, they are going to live in urban areas. So here this article is saying that there is rapid urbanization is happening, but we are not focusing on gender equity. That means equal access to male and female is not happening in urban areas. That is about this article. So from which subject we can see this case? Urbanization is a part of geography that comes under your economic geography, and next society point of view. And especially whenever you're talking about women empowerment or women related issues, you can add this article as a case study. Clear? So now let us see this article. So India is experiencing rapid urbanization. Over 800 million people are projected to live in cities by 2050. I said here 2050, but in introduction I said by 2060, 60% of our Indian population are going to live in villages. And this kind of data is very important. And actually the problem here is gender equity in urban areas is a great challenge we are facing now. So especially in our constitution, we made some reforms like 33 to 40% of reservations for women in local elected bodies. But here normally what is the bureaucracy we have? It is male dominant now. So because of this we are not ensuring women governance. And next one here is women constitute only 20% of Indian administrative services, and even 12% of women, they are working in police forces. So where there is gender equity? There is no gender equity. Gender equity is nothing but equal access for women and as well as men. There is no equal access for women. And next one is women, they rely more on public transport and neighborhood infrastructure. But whenever we are planning for these urban areas, so we often prioritize large projects over the women needs. That is also one important problem. And next one here is gender responsive budgeting is underutilized. So gender based budgeting or gender responsive budgeting is nothing but in budget they will give certain resources for women, but mostly that resources are not utilized in our country. And next one is we have to take international examples. So where they are focusing on gender equity in governance. So whenever we are focusing on gender budgeting and spending more amount of money for women, it will be improving the overall health, safety and as well as public infrastructure. Okay, so we have to take some international examples how other countries are focusing on gender equity. And next one here is this article is saying that we need proper reforms and as well as proper recruitment and promotion of women so that we can build gender diverse urban bureaucracies. Okay, clear? So this is about this article. And these are the important topics that happened in our today's Hindu newspaper, guys. By this I'm concluding. And once again, I want to remind that prelims cum mains foundation batch is going to be started from 27th. So please do join this course, and we are providing both on online and offline. And we are also providing free demo classes from 27th to 3rd July, guys. So try to use this opportunity and please do register, and registration form is given in description box, don't forget. And if you really like this class, please do hit the like button and please do subscribe to our channel, and please do follow our Instagram where we are providing current affairs in short in different dimensions along with daily one mains question with model answer also in Instagram. Thank you.